Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CSTD session. This afternoon, I have the honor to moderate the high-level panel on technology and innovation for cleaner and more productive and competitive production. This item, 3A on the agenda of the 26th session of the Commission, is a priority theme, and which was approved last year by the CSTD. The objective of this high-level panel is to discuss national strategies and policies related to green technology and green innovation and draw relevant policy conclusions. It will explore the role of international cooperation in supporting developing countries to benefit from windows of opportunity for developing, using, adopting, and adapting these frontier technologies in the production processes. We have several high-level panelists with us today, and they will seek to address the following questions. What are the challenges that government have faced or may face in promoting green technology and innovation to contribute to national development priorities and accelerate the progress towards the SDGs? What should government, the private sector, organized civil society, and other stakeholders do so that developing countries can benefit from these technologies? How could the international community support developing countries in this regard? Before we start with the panel, let me first invite Ms. Shamika Srimani, Director of the Division on Technology and Logistics, to introduce the report of the Secretary General for this item. Ms. Shamika, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to present the report of the Secretary General under this agenda item. At the outset, let me say that we received valuable contributions from 24 member states and international organizations. And we have reflected these experiences and lessons in the Secretary General's report, and the full case studies are available on the CSTD website. So please avail yourself to this rich experience. The report notes that we live in a time of rapid technological change as we are going through the digital transformation and the Industry 4.0 revolution. At the same time, the threat posed by climate change calls for the development of technologies that enable cleaner and more efficient production, the so-called green technologies. These technological waves offer opportunities for developing countries to catch up technologically and narrow global divides. Against this backdrop, the report of the Secretary General analyzes how countries can take advantage of these green technologies and innovations to promote sustainable development. In particular, the report examines the role of national policies and how the international community can also contribute to this process. I'm also happy to say that as a result of your decision to take up this subject in the Commission, we at UNCTAD, we also prepared our technology and innovation report on green windows of opportunities to coincide to this important topic. So as we all know, innovation is a key driver of economic growth, and science technology create the basis for innovation. At the same time, we need to find pathways to combine growth with climate change mitigation. Green innovations are one way of achieving these dual goals. They are usually associated with renewable energy technologies, but also include strategic use of traditional and new digital technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things. Now, latecomer catch-up strategies in green industries involve three key components according to the Secretary General's report. First, the green windows of opportunities, the sectoral systems, and fixing and catching up on the catch-up trajectories. But taking advantage of these windows of opportunities is not automatic, and that's one of the biggest messages of the Secretary General's report. It depends on the sectoral systems, the existing production, technological and innovative capabilities of firms and the strategies undertaken by the relevant public and private actors to turn these opportunities into reality. Otherwise, they will remain in the aspirational levels. As catch-up trajectories originated from the interactions of green technological opportunities with preconditions and responses in the sectoral systems, and they could include market and technological catch-up. The SG's report examines three main channels. First, the production of renewable energy technologies, and especially the solar PV and green hydrogen. And number two, the application of frontier technologies such as AI and Internet of Things to green global value chains. And number three, the diversification of economies towards sectors with lower carbon footprints. National policies are crucial to create incentives for producing renewable energy technologies. In particular, Secretary General's report highlights that market creation is a key element where government-led demand is critical. Considering the limited tradability of many green energy products, especially at the beginning. Additionally, policies incentivizing trade increases opportunities for technological learning in these sectors, while governments can also induce technical change through public research and development programs. Now, concerning the second topic, the greening of traditional value chains, this process has three main drivers according to the report. One, new patterns of demand, preferences, and consumer behaviors. Second, new green strategies by lead firms and global buyers in the GVCs. And three, enforcement of environmental standards across global supply bases to promote green GVCs. Third topic, diversification towards more sustainable sectors. Secretary General's highlight that there is a need for a strategic diversification approach where potential new sectors are identified based on their level of complexity, relatedness with the existing productive structure, existing global demand, and the associated impact on carbon emissions. The SG's report also outlines the support by the United Nations system. The UN system has been strengthening the capacity of member states to seize green windows of opportunities through multiple measures, which encompasses the following dimensions. First, the provision of technical and financial support. For example, the Global Environment Facility, GEF, has allocated more than 22 billion US dollars in grants and blended finance and mobilized 120 billion US dollars in co-financing since its inception. Second, sharing knowledge and information and conducting joint research, for example, through the Global Alliance on Circular Economy and Resource Efficiency. Third, helping design policies and strategies. UNCTAD and UNIDO, for example, play an important role in this regard, assisting countries in matters related to their mandates. And fourth, helping to set norms and standards, as this can facilitate technology transfer and deployment. So there are many other ways that the UN helps that the report talks about. With regard to national policies, governments in developing countries are encouraged by the Secretary General to be proactive to foster the necessary technological capabilities and absorptive capacity needed to leverage these new and emerging technologies. In this regard, the report highlights 5 policy areas. First, governments must enact the required policies, legislative framework, and regulations while maintaining coherence between them. The coordination requires mechanisms like councils to ensure information exchange between ministries and with other stakeholders. Second, strengthen technical and innovation capacity and build knowledge to accumulate production and innovation capabilities. Initiatives for that include subsidies programs such as the one implemented by the Swiss Federal Office of Energy. That was one of the experiences that we received. Or centers for promotion of R&D like the Innovation Park Muscat in Oman. This is another example that we received or support to programs promoting green technologies from R&D to commercialization, such as those being implemented in Turkey, or programs like the Chinese 1,000 Talents program that strengthen the accumulation of necessary skills. And these are all the examples that we have been given by the member states, yourselves. Third, identify, prioritize, and foster green technologies and potential new sectors for sustainable diversification and structural transformation. This requires an assessment of green technologies and analytical methods to identify possible diversification paths towards more complex sectors. To foster the development of such sectors, governments can apply targeted policy instruments such as clusters, smart specialization initiatives, pilot and demonstration projects, and technology roadmap, like the Green Tech Valley in Austria. Financial support to new sectors is equally important. Fourth, at the national level, it is necessary to invest in green innovation and reduce financial constraints. So the report highlights the need for financing for SMEs. There are multiple examples in the report, such as the support to SMEs included in the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan in South Africa. And fifth, developing a digital infrastructure, which is a precondition for promoting the adoption and adaptation of Industry 4.0 technologies. For that, there must be the mobilization of public and private investments in ICT infrastructure, providing the appropriate regulatory investment for the telecommunication sector, and avoiding connectivity gaps between firms and regions in the country, and most importantly, developing skills. And finally, the Secretary General's report recognizes that notwithstanding the importance of national policies, developing countries need strong support from developed countries to advance innovations and tackle global challenges, especially in the area of green technologies. The report also highlights 6 areas that demand international cooperation for green innovation. 1, the promotion of sustainability-oriented innovation systems in developing countries. 2nd, facilitating the access and adoption of developing countries to sustainable technologies. 3rd, adopting a more partnership-oriented approach to green technology development, shifting research for green innovations from the national to the multilateral level. 4th, adopting multilateral approaches to technology assessment. 5th, supporting South-South STI cooperation for green innovation, giving incentives to overcome cooperation barriers. 6th, providing development assistance to support STI for green innovations. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary General's calls for a push for diversification and increasing manufacturing competency in developing countries while ensuring the sustainability of the development process. This means that at national governments and the international community have a role to play, as I explained, including the Commission, which can take 3 steps to favor the sustainable development of developing countries. First, the Commission can facilitate the recognition of success stories and business cases that we have tried to do with your contributions. Second, the CSTD can facilitate international partnerships to mobilize resources and provide technical assistance on effective policy mixes. Lastly, the Commission can also support the participation of actors of innovation systems of member states in international networks and programs, which enhances their innovative capabilities. So it's a very rich report, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to present the summary of the Secretary General's report. Thank you.
I wish to thank Mr. Rimani for this presentation. Before we start with the panel, I wish to remind participants that the announced in the program interpretation services for intervention by remote participant is limited to a cumulative total of 30 minutes per session. Once the 30 minutes is exceeded, interpretation will subsequently be provided only for in-person interventions. I will therefore ask the remote panelists to keep their intervention to 15 minutes for in-person presentation and to less than 10 minutes for remote panelists. Let me now turn to our high-level panelist. I have the pleasure to invite His Excellency Dr. Chandrakhar, Vice Minister, Ministry of Science and Technology, India, to take the floor, and he will be joining us remotely. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, the chair of the meeting. It's always a pleasure to be part of this important event. You're all aware that India is emerging as one of the world's fastest growing economy, and we are third largest economy by GDP. Department of Science and Technology works at the initial stages of value chain of the technology and innovation for cleaner and more productive and competitive production. We also support R&D of technology concept, experimental proof, and technology demonstration projects in the domains of clean energy. All our line ministries, which work on the energy sector, heavy industries, power, promotion of industry and internal trade, carry out major works for the policy, for the production and competitive production of green technologies in India. All these activities are aligned to the national initiatives like Sustainable Development Goals, Digital India, Make in India, Industry 4.0, Smart Society 5.0, and Skill India and Startup India. We're also very keen on making green manufacturing a very important activity. Of course, there are several challenges, and we require to work with industries which have these technologies available. The challenges also including the promoting the green technology and innovation to contribute the national development priorities. And also we want to accelerate the progress towards sustainable development goals. Some of the challenges, of course, are lack of awareness in some of the industries, and the policymakers and business leaders are working very closely to make sure the importance of the green technologies. We also need to give more awareness and do a lot of campaigns and education to increase the understanding of the value of green technologies amongst the masses. There are, of course, some financial constraints, and government has been giving a lot of policies on how we can promote these green technologies while giving some financial support. Infrastructure challenge certainly is very important, and we are working with our international partners, our bilateral programs, the countries with which we are closely working to make sure that infrastructure is also built simultaneously. Sometimes the technology readiness levels are not very high for green technologies, so government is also making sure that technology readiness level for green technologies is pushed very hard so that the old technologies can be replaced with the new technologies. India is working on the regulatory environment to make it conducive to the adoption of the green technologies. These regulatory reforms will help to create a supportive policy environment that encourages innovation and investment into the green technologies. Electric vehicles, energy efficient buildings, renewable energy, including solar, batteries, etc., are some of the key drivers and industries pioneering the green technologies in our country. The government, the private sector, and the stakeholders have been working very closely to raise the awareness. Government of India is pushing all these programs to make sure that our green technologies are pushed. India has a very unique program, the production-linked incentives. If someone adapts new technologies and make the product, government also will fund the viability gap funding. So these are some of the new initiatives we have taken up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And I would now turn to our second panelist, Ms. Fu, Professor of Technology and International Development from the University of Oxford. Ms. Fu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. And first of all, I would like to thank CSTD for inviting me to this very important meeting. It's a great honor. And can I share my screen? Yeah. So today, I will take this opportunity to share with you some of my thoughts and the reflections on opening green windows. And also to my reflections on how the global community can work together, including all the stakeholders and the international collaboration to accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals and also accelerate the green transformation. Click this. Oh, that way. Sorry. Technology need to be installed very accurately so that it will function as we expect it. So this also showing one of the challenges, for us to use technology to serve our purpose.
And it's
So
not even Industry 4.0.
Yes. So yeah, thanks Shamika for summarizing this year's the UN Technology and Innovation Report, which themed at opening green windows. I think this is a very good choice of topic for the UN flagship report, because building these green production capabilities not only help us to address the climate change and build back better and faster, but also help the developing countries to diversify its industrial capacity and catalyze economic growth and foster structural change. So in Chinese words, that's one stone, two birds. And this time, maybe one stone, three birds. So I think this is the right direction for the global community to work together and push forward. However, we face significant challenges. As we have seen, half of the time, 7 years have passed, and our progress on the implementation of the SDGs, in many areas, the progress is really limited. And there are significant shortfalls in meeting the SDGs. However, most of the needed technology in the green transformation are available, but they are not diffused widely to the global community, to the community that very much need this technology, especially in the developing countries. And also they lack not only the technological capability, but also the skills and the lack of finance to implement this technology. As the minister from India has mentioned, we need technology and also the finance support so that actions can be taken on the ground in the developing countries. And overall, there is, this also reflects the need of stronger political will to really implement the SDGs and bring science technology to the priority list of our work list every day, and bring green transformation also to the priority list. So these are the challenges. These are the challenges. I think the ministers, our audience here knows the challenges much better than me. Now, my main kind of objective today is to share with you my thoughts about the solutions. What can we do? What can we do to accelerate the SDGs implementation? So first, as this year's UNTRI report, Technology and Innovation Report has made it clear, there is a green windows of opportunity for all the countries in the world. This green transformation also presents an opportunity to develop industrial capabilities in the areas that many of the developing countries do not have the capacity before, and diversify its industry and economic structure. So this green windows opportunity, where does it come from? Our research, together with Rasmus Lima and Roberta Rapparotti, and we found from the experience from China and some other developing countries is that these windows of opportunity come from institutional change, technological change, or a market expansion. So with these changes, and we will see a technological windows opportunity present to the countries. And in the case of green windows opportunity, the major changes opportunity is created by institutional change, which means government policy change, regulatory change, then pushes open the green windows of opportunity. And we can see, in the case of European countries or in some of the developing countries, regulatory change create demand for wind turbine, for solar PV, for some clean technology. Then even in the case of China or India, the rise of their capacity in the solar panel manufacturing comes from external market, international market. But this international market again was created by regulatory change in Europe or in US or in other countries. So the institutional change is is fundamental and critical. And this can be created and need to be able to capture it. The opportunity windows opened and the developing countries need to be able to capture it. And to capture it, you need capability, technological and industrial capability. How to develop this capability? Again, we need government, industrial policy, technology policy, and the innovation policy, including education and the regional policy to build up the capacity to capture the opportunity. So this showing the trajectory of China, how China built up its capability, based upon regulatory, marketing, or technological or opportunity changes that create this green windows opportunity for China in wind turbine, in biomass, in solar power, in hydro power, etc. So there is a role of political will, a role of the state and the policy. Why this is particularly important for the green windows opportunity? Because of the externalities of the environment, because of the uncertainties of emerging technology that makes firms, the private sector, and also the researchers, worried about the uncertainties and the failures that they may face. And so we need government to stand behind, to guarantee and give the support. And of course, there is a cost of diffusion, especially, cross-border diffusion from the global north to the global south. And in the case of the green technology sector, the fourth difficulty presents by the political resistance and the organizational inertia that presented by the existing stakeholders who benefit from the existing technology and existing energy, like the owners of the coal mine or the owners of the manufacturing factories that use the existing power energy system. So this political resistance and organizational inertia also present a barrier that needs government regulatory change to push it. And also finally, coordinating the different sectors and the different players need government, to play a role to coordinate different industries and the sectors and the various stakeholders. That's government really have a natural advantage and to coordinate and also provide some regulatory change and financial incentives to push the change. So that's why we need political will, very strong political will. And secondly, how we can achieve it. Look at China, look at South Korea. I remember South Korea said in the 70s, that's a low-income country, now it's a high-income country. And also look at China when it opened up to the world in the 1978 and even in the 1980s, it's a low-income country. When I was a teenager, I have never seen a TV in the world. I have never seen an electrical fan or air conditioner. So it's a low-income country. Now China is also growing very fast to be a high middle-income country. How did this country being able to catch up in such a short time? It's not the traditional Washington consensus, leave everything to the market. Or it's not purely dependent on the government industrial policy. It's a combination. It's a combination of technology transfer and the development of domestic technological capability. Combination of these two, which means we have a car with 2 or 4 engines rather than one engine. And we are working on 2 legs. And this diagram shows the catch-up of the solar PV industries in China and India. And these 2 countries are the world's largest manufacturer of solar panel in the world. How did these 2 countries catch up in such a short, 20 years time? In the early takeoff stage, they used the combination of in-house R&D together with outside in technology transfer. And they've used joint ventures, multinationals to acquire foreign technology. And in the later stage, then in their catch-up stage, they combined in-house R&D with more active knowledge acquisition. So it's not inward FDI, it's outward FDI. They're going out to the Europe and North America to seek advanced technology in the green sector. And also they set up overseas R&D labs, etc. And also they do the university and industry collaboration. So bring the good ideas in the university to the industry. So how these 2 countries catch up in this short time, this is a combination of tech transfer and the development of domestic capabilities. I call it an open national innovation system. It's an national innovation system, but it's an open one. It's an open one. And so there is a role of technology, green technology transfer, and there is a very important role that the multinationals, that international players can play to facilitate the technology transfer to the developing countries. We have the UNFCCC already, which played a very important role. And the studies find out, why the countries, the successful cases suggest the policies in both the host country, developing country, and the countries in the global north, and the practices in the low carbon development will push this green technology transfer. However, and also as Shamika has said, international programs and also some of the multinationals, they are kind of social responsibility also become the push engines. However, there are barriers in this green sector, as I said, non-existence of the market. We already have the coal power used. Why should we use clean power? So there is no existing market. And there are abundance of cheap fossil fuel resources that priced out renewables. And the IPR rights sometimes, encourages innovation, but sometimes hinders the diffusion of technology. So there are barriers we need to overcome. And those successful cases suggest suitable government policies, national policies, and adequate local capacities in the recipient countries are critical. we need political will and the local capacity. All these two plus international technology transfer will lead to success, and the South-South collaboration will open a door for alternative sources. Like South India and China-India will become alternative sources for green tech transfer, which may be more appropriate for the developing countries because of the local conditions are much closer, between the countries. So we need to engage the multinationals rather than think they are just the private sector making profits. And also we should use emerging technologies to enhance the green production, to build up the green transformation and green production capacity using emerging technology, which is also featured in one of the previous TRI report. So the artificial intelligence can help, to make the energy use more efficient and make the city more efficient, transportation and energy use more efficient. And we have seen many of the shared bikes not only in global north, but also shared bikes in global south in Africa. And also use digital platform to share the green knowledge. So like in China, there is a Sea Life platform created by Tencent. The UN has Connect 2030, which is a digital platform to diffuse the knowledge and make people, even in the remote area either in Africa or Bangladesh or Latin America, the Caribbean, they can access the most suitable green technology for free. And also large-scale seeding, which is also, for green technology that can be done by drones. And also now we are moving to remote working. Remote working not only, making less carbon footprint, but remote working and online working save papers. Today, one of the companies tell me even one large organization use online work save millions of pages, A4 papers. So this is also green. And the digital transformation of the traditional industries, make traditional industries realize the digital transformation, remote working, paperless working, and more energy efficiency, all those can be done. And also kind of use emerging technology for financing. Shamika mentioned, the Minister of India mentioned, we need financing for the green windows opportunity. How to do, like some of the digital platforms do cloud financing, and finance has this Ant Forest, collect people donate even footsteps, to raise funds for green production. And also, use digital credit to waive people's deposit. And also in the technology transfer, the whole process, there is a very important bottleneck, is the pricing. Pricing of the technology transfer from one organization to another, from one country to another. Because the lack of information, the buyers and the sellers do not trust each other, cannot reach agreement about green technology transfer. And now we have, in Oxford, we developed an AI, machine learning based kind of valuation tool, so that we can do this in 2 minutes, in 3 minutes, using this AI tool for the valuation, and this is offered free for the low-income countries. So make the technology evaluation much faster, much cheaper, much objective and accurate. So this is about using digital technology for the green transformation and also for international collaboration. Shamika has mentioned, given 6 areas for the international collaboration. And what I would argue, I argued 2 years before, is we need some special global industry policy for the green and the digital transformation. These are the 2 special areas for the developing countries, and the global community and through the UN coordination should put these 2 industries as special sector that have global coordination, like how we respond to the pandemic. WHO and the UN work together And we make much faster reaction to the crisis. And can we do the same? Can we do the same to help the developing countries in the green transformation and in the digital transformation? So we need a very special sector, some green lights on for this sector and under the UN's leadership. Like UNCTAD, UNIDO, UNESCO can work together to take the leadership. I think we need special policy rather than business as usual. The pandemic shows we can act faster, but we need some special policy. And finally, partnership. And again, it's the pandemic shows we can form partnership much faster. And this partnership can, help the developing countries. The UN has a technology access partnership led by the Tech Bank, the TFM, and the UNIDO and the UNCTAD together, and the World Bank, WHO. So can we do the same, have partnership for the green transformation and facilitate? I think we need something in addition to the UNFCCC. We can work in collaboration and all under the leadership of UNFCCC, but we need specific technology transfer partnership to help the developing countries. That's what we have seen during the pandemic. So the PPE production capacity build up in Africa. Now we are calling for the vaccine production capacity, in the developing countries, in the regional hubs, in Latin America, South Asia, Africa, and Southeast Asia, so that next pandemic, we have this vaccine access, much vaccine access than this time. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fu, for the great presentation. And let me now turn to our last panelist, Mrs. Gianna, Innovation Director, National Confederation of Industry, Brazil, and she will be joining us remotely. Ms. Gianna, the floor is yours.
Hello, I would like to thank CSTD for the invitation and for the opportunity to share the perspective that has been defended by the Entrepreneurial Mobilization for Innovation, a movement of around 500 of the most innovative companies in Brazil, coordinated by the National Confederation of Industry. May, as we call it in Portuguese, completes 15 years in 2023 and has established itself as the main forum of dialogue on science, technology, and innovation in Brazil through constructive and lasting dialogue between the business sector, the government, and the academia. We have worked on an innovation and sustainability agenda that dialogues with the theme of this panel. I want to start my speech by recalling the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report released last week. It brought us, once again, alarming messages. There is little chance of preventing the planet from surpassing the rise of 1.5 degrees in temperature by 2030. In this sense, especially, it's already considered that we will have to start working to return to lower levels. There is an imminent risk that we will be unable to reverse much of the damage, such as losing part of our biodiversity forever. Thus, it is urgent for countries to reduce gas emission into the atmosphere. How to do this depends heavily on national strategies to ensure long-term sustainable economic development. Additionally, the OECD report called Driving Low Carbon Innovations for Climate Neutrality, released this year, reinforces the need for public policies. According to them, climate neutrality targets cannot be achieved just by deploying existing technologies such as renewable energy. Carbon emission reductions will have to come in large part from the new technologies. Therefore, innovation and industrial policies must act together to encourage research and development of low carbon technologies, as well as their dissemination so that countries achieve climate neutrality as well as the commitment of the ESG agenda. As the solutions involve or impact many areas, the transition to a low carbon economy also requires the engagement of several areas of the government. With that in mind, they may highlight the urgence of long-term national policies to support the development and adoption of green technologies or to support eco-innovation. This week, we will launch the study Trends, Challenges, and Opportunities in Eco-Innovation for Brazilian Industry, produced by CNI in partnership with the Economic Commission for Latin America and Caribbean. This study shows through patents and export data the accelerated global race for green technology that is underway. Several countries are betting on green economic growth strategy. The European Union announced the next generation in 2020, which estimates to allocate around 750 billion euros in clean technologies in pursuit to global leadership in the green economy. Among its priorities are improving the energy efficiency of public and private buildings, promoting sustainable, affordable, and smart public and private transport, stimulate the circular economy, and support the transition to renewable energy sources. The European Green Deal that is being discussed only reinforces its commitment to this agenda. The US long-term strategy for energy security and climate change is another great example. The Inflation Reduction Act estimates an allocation of approximately $369 billion for clean technologies. As in the case of the European Union, it is the United States' biggest plan for sustainability. Both plans will have an important impact on the global economy. Developing countries like Brazil need to respond to them. As our study with ECLAC shows, Brazil has lost its place on the world stage, although it maintains a leading role in the Latin America race for green technology. Thus, it is necessary to scale up eco-innovations in Brazil to respond to climate challenge, regulatory and institutional demands, enable insertion in global trade, and ensure sustainable growth. The good news is that Brazil has the conditions to be a leader in the green agenda. According to a survey by Bloomberg, Brazil is among the top 10 investors in energy transition, with around $12 billion in 2020. The UNCTAD Technology and Innovation Report, Opening Green Windows, Technology Opportunities for a Low Carbon World, also demonstrates Brazil's potential. In 2020, we were among the top 10 leaders in installed wind energy and bioenergy capacity. I dare to say that we may have also advanced in solar energy in the last 2 years, as solar energy generation reached the plateau of wind energy in 2022, about 11%. Furthermore, more than 70% of the energy expected to come on stream in the coming years will come from solar panels in Brazil. So there is a big chance the country will have a more prominent role in this area over the next years. Here are some more examples of opportunities in Brazil. CNI service points out that around 76% of companies in Brazil have some initiative in the circular economy, such as water reuse, logistics reverse, and material recycling. Regarding recycling, 99% of aluminum cans are recycled in the country, a world record, and 22% of plastic packaging are recycled. We could still mention in favor of Brazil. It has the greatest biodiversity in the world. It has a predominantly clean electrical matrix, unlike Europe, which has always been an energy importer. The installed capacities in Brazil, in the Brazilian industry, in areas such as energy conservation and transport, in addition to the installed industrial and research capacity to implement projects in advanced areas, such as bioenergy and biomaterials. The favorable geopolitical situation for attracting foreign investment, for example, for renewable sources of electric generation, biofuels, and energy efficiency. In this sense, the entrepreneurial sector view, Brazil has a very relevant potential for reindustrialization through eco-innovation. It could certainly be a leader in the carbon neutral product industry. To become a global player, it is urgent to build a Brazilian Green Deal. It must have a portfolio of effective and coordinated policies and include the private sector in this construction. Therefore, in our view, the priorities of a Brazilian strategy could be to improve the regulatory model, establish a carbon pricing system, and encourage private investment in sustainable technologies, following the example of ongoing initiatives in the United States, China, and Europe. Finally, it is worth saying that next September this year, we are going to have our International Innovation Summit dedicated to the innovation and sustainability agenda. We will debate with national and international experts on many issues related to this subject. I'd like to invite you all to come to Brazil to be part of this event. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Tina. Let me now turn to our discussant, Mrs. Ingrom, Manager, Means of Implementation Division, UNFCCC, who will join us remotely. Ms. Ingrom, you have the floor.
Your Excellencies, distinguished representatives of member states, observers, ladies and gentlemen, it's really great a pleasure to join you in this meeting, and I thank you for inviting UNFCCC Secretariat. The latest IPCC report recognizes that having the right policies, infrastructure, and technology in place to enable changes to our lifestyle and behavior can result in a 40 to 70% reduction in greenhouse gas emission by 2050. The report also makes it very clear to us that innovation in climate mitigation and adaptation technologies has seen enormous activity and significant progress in recent years. It also highlighted that technological innovation can leverage action to mitigate climate change by reinforcing other interventions. The currently widespread implementation of solar PV and light emitting diodes in developing countries could not have happened without technological innovation. Circular economy, as mentioned by the previous speaker, is another effective approach to mitigate industrial greenhouse gas emissions and has been widely promoted worldwide since the fourth IPCC assessment report. From industrial point of view, circular economy focuses on closing loop of materials and energy flows by incorporating policies and strategies for more efficient energy, materials, and water consumptions while emitting minimal waste to the environment. Another area where sustainable development, climate change, and technological innovations globally interact is digitalization. Digital technologies, when properly used, can contribute to and promote large increase in energy efficiency through coordinations and economic shifts. Recently, the UNFCCC Secretariat has published the synthesis of 193 parties' nationally determined contributions submitted by end of 2022. The report recognized development of many effective policies and strategies to promote technology innovation, including by promoting use of renewable energy and accelerating adoption and transfer of low emission and climate resilient technologies such as zero emissions mobility. The synthesis report of long-term low emission development strategies published in 2022 has also shown that almost all parties to the UNFCCC considered innovative technologies are fundamental in addressing climate change and the economic growth due to their strong ability to create jobs, increase competitiveness, and enhance living standards. Most of countries reported in their LTLEDS submissions mentions the circular economy, for example, as an objective or guiding principle for the long-term low emission development, particularly in the context of mitigation. Under UNFCCC, more than 100 developing countries have conducted their technology needs assessment or TNA, in which the countries prioritized mitigation and adaptation sectors and technologies, including innovative technologies. The TNA also identified barriers and enablers to climate technology transfer, and countries expressed their need to be supported with numerous concrete technology action plans and project ideas they commissioned. Some barriers include cost to access technologies, lack of supporting technological regulatory system, weaker planning and implementation capacities, and as well as other development priorities. Speaking about international cooperations, the UNFCCC has established a mechanism called Technology Mechanism in 2010. The mechanism plays a crucial role in facilitating development and transfer of climate innovative technologies. It consists of two arms. The Technology Executive Committee, as the policy arm of the technology mechanism, is currently working on national system of innovation, digitalization, and sustainable transformation on the following sectors: water, energy, food nexus, building infrastructure, transformative industries, and nature and ecosystem. The implementation arm of the mechanism, called Climate Technology Center and Network, has supported numerous countries, developing countries in all globally. For example, in Latin America and the Caribbean, it supported the Latin American and the Caribbean Circular Economy Coalition to develop a region shared vision on circular economy. It also helped circular economy roadmaps for abating greenhouse gas emission reduction in waste sector in South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Kenya. In addressing the issue of support, the technology mechanism is working with a financial mechanism, namely Global Environmental Facility and Green Climate Fund, to ensure support for technology development and transfer. More ambitious climate action remains the top priority for all of us around the world. And as stated in the Paris Agreement, climate technology, innovation, and research and development are a crucial part of this endeavor. Investing in innovation, research and development and climate technologies can help increase the ambition. We hope that the outcomes of this session will contribute to building momentum toward success at COP28 in Dubai. Parties and stakeholders will conclude the global stocktake, including their stocktaking on state of technology and progress and innovations, which will hopefully guide the efforts of all stakeholders towards low carbon economy by 2030. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to having a productive and fruitful session this afternoon. Thank you very much.
I thank Ms. Ingram for her remarks. The floor is now open for the interactive discussion. Please keep your intervention short and no more than 3 to 5 minutes. Also, please be reminded that as soon as we exceeded the 30 minutes of remote intervention, interpretation for remote intervention will no longer be provided. I recognize Her Excellency Mrs. Leah, Undersecretary of the Ministry of Science and Technology of the Philippines. Philippines, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Philippines recognizes and strongly supports the inclusion and adoption of green technology and innovation in national development and international initiatives aimed at achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In the age of rapid technological advancements, including developing and utilizing frontier technologies, digital transformation, and industrialization, it is imperative for countries, regardless of economic status, to practice measures that conserve our natural resources and protect our environment. Similar to the experiences of other developing and least developed countries, the Philippines faces challenges in promoting green technology and innovation in the country, with the high cost of adoption for micro, small, and medium enterprises as one of the main issues. As there are only few manufacturers of green technologies in the country, there is also less supply. Thereby, the available green technologies, including storage of energy and solar cells, cost more. In the private sector, although gains had been made through implementing good housekeeping practices, wherein about 70% of cleaner production options in assessed companies fall under investments in more innovative and cleaner production technologies, have yet to be fully realized. Even before the onset of the pandemic, industries need financial resources to make such investments. In the field of organic agriculture, there are high certification costs of organic products and maintenance of facilities for green technologies. Sustainability of promotion and advocating for green innovation is yet to be improved. Lastly, there are some complications in transferring technologies from research and development institutions to industry manufacturers and fabricators. Acknowledging these challenges is crucial for any government. With this, the Department of Science and Technology initiates and aids projects and programs that promote cleaner and more competitive production in the Philippines. Through its attached agencies, the department has supported and developed green technologies, implemented activities, and extended technical assistance and advice in support of this venture. Examples of which are: 1, on green packaging. The DOST developed technologies for plastic alternatives and recycling. These include biodegradable thermoplastics, starch-based plastics, chitosan-based green packaging, bacterial cellulose packaging, indigenous and renewable materials, and bioplastics from agricultural waste. On waste management, biogas technologies being harnessed to provide alternative waste abatement systems and renewable energy sources for livestock farms. Instead of allowing methane to contaminate the ozone layer, it was being collected efficiently and used primarily for cooking purposes, allowing fuel savings for the technology adopters. We also have some initiatives on energy. We deploy solar energy systems to several rural health units in the Philippines. And these results the government agencies in the province signified interest in adopting these solar energies. The DOST further designed a microgrid solar photovoltaic system and provided them to rural and remote communities to generate electricity. We're also proud to share that the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Science High School, then a student, invented air disc air conditioning technology, which does not use freon or any chemical refrigerant. And the current air conditioning system use low compression pressure and high volume of air molecules, which are also free of hydrofluorocarbons. On the assistance given to the green technology developers, the DOST supports startups and inventors through the Technology Innovation and Commercialization Program and the venture financing for environmentally sound technologies, some of which includes fish monitoring system, the Abaca boat, rapid charging system used for electric vehicles. We also initiated electric mobility innovations, such as the hybrid electric jeepney for public transportation, the hybrid electric train, and the safe, efficient, and sustainable solar-assisted plug-in electric boat. Lastly, environmental regulations and protocols are in place in the Philippines. We have the Philippine Clean Air Act, the Philippine Clean Water Act, Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, the Renewable Energy Act of 2008, and the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act of 2019. We also follow a Philippine Green Public Procurement Roadmap, which aims to increase demand for green products and services by integrating sustainability criteria into the public procurement process. Excellencies, able to promote and encourage the development and adoption of green technologies for cleaner and more productive and competitive production, I think governments should create an enabling STI ecosystem and environment for the different actors in the society. Inclusive policies and programs should be implemented in consideration of the needs of both the private and the public sector. Technical and financial support should be extended to small industry players such as startups and micro and small medium enterprises. Incentivizing through financial grants, subsidies, and tax reliefs encourage more to produce and use green technologies. Moreover, there is a need to raise awareness on the benefits and information about these technologies. These could be incorporated in education as early as in the primary and secondary levels. Finally, capacity building activities are needed to upskill and prepare the manufacturing sector to adopt technology outputs from research and development institutions. International communities can support the developing countries by facilitating joint initiatives in the form of bilateral, triangular, South-South, North-South, regional, and global partnerships. Mobilizing financial resources could be done. Developing countries may also be supported through sharing of their technical know-how, undertaking joint research, implementing capacity building activities, and providing policy recommendations by countries and institutions successful in the field. We thank the CSTD for being a platform for the member states to discuss such important issues, benchmark on best practices, and collaborate on joint initiatives. Again, thank you very much, and thank you for giving the opportunity to the Philippines.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So I'll read the list of countries by order. So we have Turkey, China, Palestine, Latvia, Paraguay, then Dominican remotely, and then the US remotely. So I'll give the floor to Turkey.
Mr. Chair, honorable participants, it's my pleasure to address such a distinguished audience. Before all, I would like to inform you about our ministry, which is Ministry of Industry and Technology of Turkey. We have an important role in the formulation and implementation of industry, STI, and regional development policies and programs. Turkey implements an innovative, high value added, and export-oriented development model to achieve her ambitious targets. We support companies to accelerate digital transformation. Our visionary technology-oriented industry program aims to boost value-added production and exports. To support innovative entrepreneurs and startups, we establish intermediary actors. We also benefit from our 97 technoparks and about 1,600 R&D and design centers for producing high-tech products and attracting high-tech investors. We offer certain advantages for firms in technoparks and R&D centers, such as infrastructure, tax exemption, subsidized qualified personnel, consultancy services. We also establish organized industry zones. They allow companies to operate within an investor-friendly environment with ready-to-use infrastructure and social facilities. Those zones have a crucial role for our business regarding a resource-efficient and circular economy. Our affiliated institutions support us to develop and apply our policies, like our National Scientific and Technological Research Council, funds industrial and academic R&D projects and conducts R&D via research institution. Distinguished panelists, climate change has wide-ranging impact. That's why actions to combat it must be incorporated into all aspects of public policy, including trade, investment, and development policy. We published the Green Deal Action Plan to ensure compliance with the EU as the largest commercial partner. Decarbonization, sustainable manufacturing, energy efficiency, raw material efficiency are examples of fields where the need for a rapid green shift is significant. The transformation requires a significant scaling up of public investments. In the last 10 years, we have made a great progress in increasing the share of renewable in energy. We are planning to continue invest more on renewable energy technologies. As the ministry, we also support SMEs for R&D and innovation activities regarding sustainable manufacturing and energy efficiency. Regarding the decarbonization of the priority sectors such as steel, aluminum, and cement, we have launched in-depth sector analysis studies. We develop low-carbon pathway studies to identify required modernization and technological needs of industry as well as their investments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Turkey. Now I give the distinguished delegate from China the floor.
尊敬的主席先生，尊敬的各位与会代表，中国是一个发展中大国，为促进数字化绿色转型，中国将绿色、循环、低碳发展作为当今时代科技革命和产业变革的方向。在风电、光伏等绿色产业、制造业等领域做出了积极的探索。中国有着巨大的传统产业绿色升级改造需求和绿色消费需求。这也是世界规模最大的绿色市场。中国坚定落实节能优先方针，持续地淘汰落后产能，加快传统产业升级改造，并宣布不再新建境外煤炭项目，支持发展中国家绿色低碳发展，为推进全球能源转型作出庄严承诺。如何将互联网、大数据、 人工智能、第5代移动通信等新兴技术与绿色低碳产业深度融合，来推进工业、建筑、交通等领域的清洁低碳转型。如何做到这一点，这是我们未来探索的方向。中国愿意进一步加强同联合国科技促进发展委员会合作，与各国加强在这个领域的合作，推动落实科技创新，促进清洁高效生产目标，分享知识、信息和开展联合研究，为落实中国式现代化及全球发展倡议、联合国可持续发展目标等做出更大的努力。谢谢主席给我的机会，再一次感谢主席。
I thank the distinguished delegate of China, and now I give the floor to Palestine.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, bon après-midi. Merci, Monsieur le Président, cher Machal, et merci, Madame la Directrice Shamika, pour la présentation du rapport, et merci au panel aussi et les intervenants pour leur riche intervention. Effectivement, le partenariat et le renforcement de la coopération internationale pour appuyer la science, la technologie et l'innovation est très important et essentiel même. Pour nous, les pays en développement et les PMA, pour atteindre les ODD et un développement juste et équitable, il nous faut une réelle coopération et un soutien financier concret. C'est essentiel pour mettre en œuvre ces politiques d'innovation de la technologie verte. Nous ne sommes pas tous dans le même bateau. Il y en a parmi nous des populations et des pays dans des petites barques gonflables en plastique et d'autres dans des bateaux rapides à moteur. La vitesse de changement technologique est très grande et ceci crée un énorme fossé entre les pays développés et les pays en développement d'un côté et même entre les pays de la même catégorie de l'autre côté. L'écart technologique est très grand et il faut travailler rapidement à le réduire. Dans la plupart des pays en développement et les PMA, nous sommes en train de travailler juste pour arriver à avoir des technologies qui ne sont plus d'actualité concrètement aux pays développés qui sont en développement rapide en continu. Pour la Palestine, nous utilisons la 3G par exemple pour la téléphonie mobile à cause de l'occupation et les non-permissions d'accès à la 4G malgré les accords avec la force occupante israélienne qui ont actuellement chez eux en Israël la 5G. Ne parlons pas de la bande de Gaza qui reste en 2G jusqu'à présent. 2G, oui, la téléphonie mobile en 2G. Les commerces restent très limités à cause de l'occupation israélienne. Les commerces, nous avons plusieurs plateformes locales, mais pour l'ouverture vers l'international, cela reste très difficile, voire impossible. La livraison en Palestine des achats en ligne reste un réel problème aussi, avec plusieurs obstacles, des checkpoints militaires et autres. L'infrastructure est là, mais nous n'avons pas la liberté de circulation des personnes et des biens dans le territoire palestinien occupé. Nous avons en Palestine aussi des politiques et des stratégies nationales pour le développement des technologies, mais l'occupation reste le plus grand obstacle pour l'accès à cette technologie et faire entrer de matériel et la réalisation des projets. Un énorme travail est fait chez nous, les Palestiniens, et la réalisation, malheureusement, reste limitée à cause de l'occupation. Cette commission, mesdames et messieurs, facilite l'échange et le renforcement de la collaboration et la connexion entre les différents partenaires dans les domaines des sciences, technologies et innovations. C'est une plateforme très importante au sein du système des Nations Unies. La CNUSED et l'UNESCO sont des forats adéquats pour la tenue des débats et des réunions, des discussions. Il faut aussi qu'on passe des discussions vers l'action pour rattraper le retard de développement technologique. Les difficultés à transférer les technologies est une réalité. Nous devons dépasser nos différences politiques et avancer vers la réalisation des ODD et ne laisser personne de côté et derrière. Pour conclure, l'État de Palestine reste disponible et accessible à tous les partenaires et accessible à toute proposition d'aide et d'assistance technique dans ce domaine des sciences, de l'innovation et de la technologie. Une coopération internationale est très, très importante. Je vous remercie.
I thank the distinguished delegate of Palestine, and now I give the floor to Latvia.
Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I'm glad to address you and share Latvia's perspective on technology and innovation for clean, more productive and competitive production. Our world is experiencing multiple and overlapping crises. As a globally integrated country, Latvia faces challenges as most other countries. The consequences of the global pandemic security situation, cross-sectoral gaps are just few of the factors that are significantly affecting economic development and achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. A powerful way to tackle challenges is through maintaining a rules-based international order rooted in the United Nations Charter and by remaining true to the principle of leaving no one behind. Latvia has been a keen supporter of rules-based international order. Every country matters, irrespective of its size or wealth. We all have equal rights. Sadly, but this cannot go unmentioned, the United Nations Security Council permanent member Russia has started a war of aggression against its peaceful neighbor Ukraine. It has undermined the international law and principles of the United Nations Charter. The impact of this aggression stretches far beyond Europe. Countries who struggle to recover from the COVID pandemic now because of this war in Ukraine face further challenges: food scarcity, shortage of fertilizers, and rising energy costs. Latvia will continue to be at the forefront of global efforts to address food insecurity in a Team Europe spirit. We offer our know-how and smart solutions for sustainable agriculture, water management support in strengthening small and medium enterprises, and other areas. Moreover, building long-term resilience, particularly to the countries on the front lines of crisis, is of utmost importance. Distinguished delegates, current international challenges, including achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, require synergy and cooperation among all international, regional, national, governmental, and non-governmental actors. First, in order for countries to benefit from the use of technologies and having in mind Agenda 2030, we should support mechanisms and initiatives that will define green technologies as a more competitive and high potential option of technological development. Second, we should stimulate cooperation among companies and creation of clusters to enable an easier and more competitive green technology development. Third, we should introduce more support mechanisms for startups that advance green development. One of the options is to create demand for innovation from the public sector by promoting green and innovation procurement. As a basis, it is necessary to invest into education in sustainable and greener industries, as well as allocate sufficient resources for research and innovation. Distinguished delegates, digital and green transformation coinciding with the increasing adoption of technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and renewable energy are transforming business and production. Critical areas for innovation in this new technological revolution are renewable energy technologies and frontier technologies for sustainable production. The technological innovation of the international community creates powerful solutions. However, it's important to create mechanisms of sharing the unique knowledge among countries of different regions. in order to adapt possible solutions to the specific country needs. We must also learn from developing countries. The environmental challenges that the developing countries have been facing throughout centuries are very much needed in the new fight of the international community against the consequences of climate change, reflected in the development of the circular economic concept. In conclusion, let me underline that Latvia is committed to the implementation of 2030 Agenda. Latvia will continue to engage with the multilateral system and provide contributions to support structural transformation, promote good governance and rule of law, address climate change, and build resilience. Latvia has developed a number of technological solutions which could be applied globally, especially in the ICT sector. For example, rolling out digital solutions for e-governance, document verification, router, and software technologies. Moreover, we are active in promoting media and information literacy as key to build resilience and provide opportunities for all. Using this opportunity, I would like to invite you all to Latvia-hosted CSTD thematic event. It is titled Protecting Information Integrity in the Age of Artificial Intelligence and will take place tomorrow at 8:45 in this meeting room. Thank you for your attention.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Latvia. And now I give the floor to Paraguay.
Muchas gracias, vicepresidente, por darme la palabra. En representación de la delegación del Paraguay, expresamos nuestro agradecimiento por este espacio para el intercambio de experiencias y aprendizaje mutuo, compartido con la comunidad científica y los representantes gubernamentales presentes. Compartimos el esfuerzo de todos los representantes por las contribuciones activas en los debates sobre las nuevas tendencias en tecnología e innovación para el desarrollo, los desafíos en su implementación y el progreso en el cumplimiento de los objetivos de la Agenda 2030. Como bien lo señala el informe presentado por el secretario general, la transformación digital y la adopción de la industria en tecnologías 4.0, así como la inteligencia artificial, están transformando los negocios y los sectores de producción. El Paraguay, a pesar de ser un país en desarrollo sin litoral, con desafíos por su situación geográfica, realiza sus mejores esfuerzos para avanzar en las áreas críticas de innovación en esta nueva revolución tecnológica, que incluye la energía renovable y una producción y consumo sustentables. En ese sentido, es importante destacar que, gracias a las obras de electrificación con energía proveniente de las centrales hidroeléctricas, el Paraguay se ha consolidado como líder mundial en producción de energía eléctrica sostenible y se cubre el 100% de la demanda eléctrica del país con energía suministrada principalmente por la central de Itaipú y seguidas por las centrales de Yacyretá y Acaradú. Asimismo, nos encontramos en una fase inicial en la promoción de la innovación verde y la ampliación de la energía verde, puesto que recientemente, el 8 de marzo, se firmó el decreto presidencial que aprueba el Plan Nacional de las Tecnologías de la Información y las Comunicaciones Paraguay 2022-2030, que establece lineamientos estratégicos para el desarrollo de la infraestructura digital, el gobierno digital, la innovación, el talento TIC y la ciberseguridad. A través del Consejo Nacional de Ciencia y Tecnología, se implementa la Agenda Nacional de Ciencia, Tecnología e Innovación, que identifica como desafío transversal agua y energía para el futuro, donde la hidroelectricidad es el posible insumo en industrias electrointensivas, en la producción y uso de autos eléctricos y la instalación de corredores verdes con abastecimiento de energía, la fabricación de motocargas eléctricas y la producción de hidrógeno verde y celdas de combustible. Paraguay tiene ventajas comparativas para la producción de hidrógeno verde, dado que los insumos principales son agua y electricidad limpia para el proceso de electrólisis, con lo cual podría posicionarse entre uno de los líderes en su producción a nivel regional. Con relación al Mecanismo Nacional para la Coordinación de la Estrategia de Desarrollo Sostenible y el despliegue de tecnologías verdes, el Paraguay cuenta con el Comité Nacional de Eficiencia Energética y con el Observatorio de Energías Renovables. Entre las soluciones que utilizan energía fuentes renovables y que aumentan la capacidad de las plantas de energía limpia, se ejecuta el proyecto de Data Center del Estado, del Ministerio de Tecnologías de la Información y Comunicación, donde se relevan datos con normativa ecológica para centro de datos. También se puede mencionar el proyecto de innovación de empresas paraguayas, donde existe un cofinanciamiento por parte del CONACYT a empresas nacionales que utilizan la innovación de base tecnológica, como Red Ciclaje, que tiene por objetivo crear materiales de construcción a partir de plástico reciclado, y la empresa productora tejido a base de fibra de mango, que desarrolla una tecnología para la valorización de los residuos del mango. En materia educativa, a través del Programa Nacional de Becas de Posgrado en el Exterior, don Carlos Antonio López salienta el estudio de disciplinas que coadyuven a incrementar el conocimiento y expertise en estas áreas estratégicas. Se busca aumentar los niveles de generación y aplicación de conocimiento en las áreas de ciencia y tecnología y en los niveles de aprendizaje a través del mejoramiento de la oferta del capital humano avanzado. Además, propone el fortalecimiento de la investigación, innovación y educación mediante becas de estudios de entrenamiento y posgrado en el exterior. Existen iniciativas de la sociedad civil organizada como el Reconocimiento Verde, para reconocer a empresas, cooperativas y universidades con iniciativas ambientales destacadas, inspirar a que más empresas emulen y sumen prácticas sostenibles y generar mayor conciencia hacia los desafíos globales y soluciones ambientales. Se cuenta con el apoyo del Ministerio del Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, la Secretaría de Defensa del Consumidor y el Usuario y el Instituto Forestal Nacional. Entre los desafíos nacionales existen asimetrías de información entre empresas y financistas que generen fallas de mercado. Sin embargo, se puede destacar el referido proyecto ProInnova, que promueve la aplicación I+D y en el sector privado para la incorporación de gestores con formación y experiencia relevante en gestión de la innovación empresarial. Para finalizar, reafirmamos nuestro compromiso a nivel multilateral, puesto que estamos convencidos que la tecnología y la innovación tienen el potencial de transformar positivamente la vida de todos, pero es fundamental que esos avances sean accesibles también para todos, para que disminuya la brecha de desigualdad y acercarnos más al ODS 10 respecto a la reducción de desigualdades. Muchas gracias.
I thank the distinguished delegates of Paraguay. And now I give the floor to the Dominican Republic for a remote intervention. Mr. Carlos.
¿Me escuchan? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Muy bien, muchísimas gracias. Entonces, voy a iniciar con que las exposiciones realizadas antes que esta, en sentido general, recogen lo que República Dominicana también está emprendiendo y quisiera trabajar y saber que estamos trabajando hacia conseguir combustibles verdes en base a desechos municipales y en base a otros desechos que tienden a reducir la emisión de CO2 al ambiente, así como esa reducción sería con menor emisión en el transporte por el uso de vehículos eléctricos. Por una situación que se dio, habíamos preparado un asunto relacionado fundamentalmente con el agua, que es lo que voy a leer, pero por este error no quisiera que se interprete que República Dominicana es un país fundamentalmente agrícola. Realmente el turismo, la minería son importantísimos en la economía, son más importantes en la economía, aunque obviamente a la agricultura hay que prestarle muchísima atención. Por eso, quiero señalar esta parte y empecé de esa manera. El promedio histórico del índice de riesgo climático global sitúa a la República Dominicana entre los 50 de 180 países que sufrirán más consecuencias negativas por la ocurrencia de fenómenos climáticos que se deben en parte a la topografía o orografía del país, a lo que se agrega el proceso de urbanización, situación de pobreza y carencia de una legislación ya existe de ordenamiento territorial que reduce el uso de los suelos, regula el uso de los suelos por su vocación. Se estima que el 30% de la población es muy vulnerable a fenómenos extremos y un 60% del territorio es vulnerable a las inundaciones y en menor medida deslizamiento de tierra. El tema del agua se enfoca acá en esta presentación desde dos perspectivas. Producción y disponibilidad de agua para actividades agrícolas, sanitarias o industriales. En términos de producción, estamos hablando de que se proteja los bosques en los lugares donde nacen los ríos, y la potabilización y disposición de agua para toda la población. En República Dominicana se ha instituido una instancia para el agua, denominada Mesa de Coordinación del Recurso Agua, que depende del Ministerio de Economía, Planificación y Desarrollo de la República Dominicana, de la Presidencia de la República, y en la cual participan instancias del sector público y privado directamente relacionadas con la producción y capacidad del agua, calidad del agua. Se administra en la disponibilidad para agricultura y para el consumo humano. Esta mesa se define como un compromiso estratégico integral de manejo de agua, de modo que se asegure su calidad y cantidad requerida para el desarrollo sostenible del país, que generará una ley general de agua. La mesa la integran diversas instancias, dentro de las cuales también está este ministerio, para fortalecer sus capacidades nacionales en ciencia, tecnología e innovación en torno a la gestión de agua, pero en todos los sentidos. República Dominicana está prestando atención a la investigación científica y tecnológica que permita conocer más a fondo los problemas, formación de recursos humanos al más alto nivel, nivel de maestría y doctorado, fomento de la colaboración internacional que permita abordar el tema como el problema global que representa. Varias iniciativas internacionales y regionales han aportado al abordaje del problema en el país, porque tenemos convenios con diferentes instancias, universidades e iniciativas regionales, birregionales e internacionales. Sin embargo, es necesario dar esfuerzos mayores regionales y globales e internacionales de colaboración que permitan aumentar y compartir infraestructura de investigación, así como capacidades técnicas de intercambio de experiencia e información. La producción y disponibilidad de agua para las actividades agrícolas y sanitarias e industriales. Los retos enfrentados por República Dominicana en la gestión del agua son diversos. Deforestación, áreas críticas para la retención de las aguas, producto de las precipitaciones que trae como consecuencia reducción del flujo hacia los arroyos y ríos. Sistematizar el dragado de las embalses para evitar la acumulación de sedimentos. Dar seguimiento para controlar la erosión del suelo y cumplir las leyes y regulaciones de extensión de materiales, extracción de materiales para la construcción de los lechos de los ríos, materiales de construcción, manejo adecuado de las aguas residuales para evitar contaminación de cuerpos de aguas superficiales y subterráneas, infiltración de agua salada en áreas cercanas a la costa, velar porque se haga un uso responsable y eficiente del agua para riego en la agricultura, fines industriales y potables. Esto es mayor eficacia en la administración de este recurso. El ordenamiento territorial, que implica ordenamiento ecológico, de modo que la tierra se use en función de su vocación, de la vocación de la tierra. Prestar atención a las fluctuaciones que se puedan producir debido al cambio climático derivado del calentamiento global. Se presta atención a través de la investigación y seguimiento a estos cambios relacionados con el ciclo de agua, de modo que se puedan generar alertas tempranas a sequías, tormentas tropicales y exceso de lluvia. En ese sentido, se participa en iniciativas regionales e iberoamericanas e internacionales tendentes a emprender acciones conjuntas en base a problemas comunes que tengan que ver, entre otros aspectos, con la producción y disponibilidad de agua. Por producción de agua, ya lo había definido, el Ministerio de Educación Superior, Ciencia y Tecnología, a través de su programa de apoyo de fondos no reembolsables a la investigación, a las CIES y centros de investigación, ha financiado una serie de proyectos que apuntan, o sea, que fortalecen una serie de aspectos relevantes, como renaturalización y conservación de los recursos hídricos mediante investigaciones hidromorfológicas, cobertura vegetal y factores del suelo con sistemas como la foresta análoga, entre otros. Y hago este énfasis porque en muchos lugares la incidencia de agua depende mucho de toda la cobertura vegetal y de todo el continente. Nosotros somos una isla que dependemos mucho de las fluctuaciones que se den debido a otros factores externos que tienen que ver con asuntos del Mar Caribe. Técnica de actividad agrícola con énfasis en la agricultura familiar, monitoreo de sequía que combina historial de sequía y modelos hidrológicos. Esos modelos de sequía son sumamente importantes por lo que había señalado también hace un ratito, es de que nosotros dependemos mucho del turismo. Entonces, se trabaja en ese sentido y adoptar inteligencia artificial, machine learning, deep learning y data science para, obviamente, modernizar nuestro quehacer en ciencia. La potabilización y disposición del agua para la población, que es un compromiso nacional para el Pacto por el Agua que se hizo 2021-2036 del Gobierno de la República Dominicana, que fomenta la eficiencia en el servicio de agua potable y saneamiento y eficiencia del sistema de riego. Hay proyectos de mejoramiento de agua potable y además se promueve y coordina la puesta en vigor de una estrategia nacional de saneamiento que involucra a los gobiernos locales o ayuntamientos de cada región, que permita, además del uso del agua, permita el uso de los residuos domésticos y residuos municipales, transformarlos en combustibles verdes para el uso de la industria, para el transporte, entre otras cosas. Entonces, la República Dominicana, en términos de lo que es innovación, con todo el programa de investigación, ciencia, tecnología e innovación que tiene de apoyo con fondos no reembolsables, ha desarrollado algunas capacidades en nanociencias al punto de tener algunas patentes casi a punto de venderse o convertirse en industria. Entonces, para nosotros, la colaboración internacional es crítica y con todo lo que se ha expuesto aquí, consideramos que hay un buen ambiente para poder aunar esfuerzos en esa colaboración en función de las necesidades que tenga cada quien para beneficio mutuo. Muchas gracias.
I thank the distinguished delegates from the Dominican Republic. And now I give the floor to the United States for remote participation. Ms. Regina, the floor is yours.
Greetings from the United States, Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and guests. I am delighted to join you on behalf of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development's Office of Policy Development and Research. I am Regina Gray, Director of the Affordable Housing Research and Technology Division and HUD's Office of Policy Development and Research. Regarding the digital and green transformation that coincides with the increasing adoption of green innovative technologies, the department supports efforts to further initiatives that advance technology, including artificial intelligence, with cost savings realized through automation, timely and accurate reporting, and that promote equity and effectiveness through the adoption of renewable energy options for low-income and marginalized communities. These efforts include expanding broadband access to lessen the digital divide, as well as smart technology for tenants, landlords, and assistive technologies to help seniors age in place. HUD is working with several researchers to understand how housing and building technologies, such as sub-metering products, concrete battery technology, solar technology, and grid management may assist in not only lowering utility costs, but also assisting low and moderate income communities with understanding the importance of the impacts on health, safety, and improving the environment. From HUD's perspective, broadband or internet service will go a long way to ensure that we are reaching the most marginalized segments of our nation, particularly as we continue to work remotely and in search for affordable housing and other supportive services. This is a challenge for us, and we look to our international partners for strategies that enhance equity and inclusion in terms of the benefits that the transmission of green technologies will have on marginalized communities. We need to learn more about the use of artificial intelligence and other emergency green technologies that the panelists have discussed today. Regarding the topics that advance the use of concrete technologies in housing, there are 2 points worth mentioning here. First, concrete 3D printing technology can produce affordable homes and communities within a short period of time and can handle higher dimensional analytics than conventional building processes. HUD is working with the Home Innovation Research Laboratory located in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, to help identify barriers to the adoption of the technology and construction practices and to explore ways to expedite the integration of the technology in residential buildings. The biggest challenge we face here is the facilitation of widespread adoption to the market, increasing awareness and consumer education on the benefits of these sustainable technologies. Second, referring to compressed laminated timber or CLTs, this is a remarkably superior green innovation than natural wood and is widely used in structural materials such as plastics, steel, and alloys. CLTs are stable in the presence of water or moisture, and HUD has commissioned several studies testing the performance of this technology in housing construction products or projects. We need more help in understanding from the international community on how CLTs have transformed the housing industry and created a place and an opportunity for consumers to integrate this technology in their housing. Now, addressing smart cities and the relationship to urban sustainability. The department supports the cultivation of smart cities to promote urban sustainability through the accurate, precise, and timely reporting of data for progress on carbon reduction strategies, especially as urban sprawl continues unabated. Smart cities can also facilitate the implementation of resilient and sustainable practices through enhanced automation, energy efficiency, specialized distribution, and more walkable, transit-oriented development and preservation of green space. We need more information on how smart cities achieve these goals without compromising our overarching mission to expand affordable housing options for all Americans. In other words, families should not pay a premium to enjoy the benefits of more sustainable neighborhoods or communities. We have an opportunity to learn more here. Regarding data-driven approaches, the department continues to improve its understanding and approach to equity inclusivity through enhanced-based policymaking and data-driven approaches, including participant-informed program improvements, policy evaluation to determine the impacts of housing affordability, and research endeavors to identify bias in regulations and programs that exacerbate disparities. Internally, the department has adopted voluntary self-reported demographic data to reduce potential barriers in hiring, promotion, professional development, and retention practices. Initiatives such as these align with the Biden administration's commitment to expanding diversity, inclusion, and equity. The department supports efforts to further initiatives that enhance technology in housing, including AI, with cost savings realized through automation, the timely and accurate reporting of information, and that promote equity. An example of some of this work includes a study through a collaboration with Tennessee State University, which is a designated historically Black college, to understand a relatively new technology, energy-saving batteries that can be installed in cemented walls to monitor energy consumption and retrieve more accurate information regarding usage. The technology utilizes concrete structure testing, efficiency and degenerative testing, temperature and humidity testing, and pilot scale testing. We are learning more about this technology, but we do need help from our international partners to learn more. My office is working with several research teams that are testing various concrete systems in housing. First, with respect to 3D concrete printing technology, HUD is working with the Home Innovation Research Labs in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, to help identify barriers to the adoption of technology in construction practices and to explore ways to expedite the integration of the technology in residential buildings. Study results show a great potential for 3D printed technology to significantly improve the home building process based on reduced labor requirements, exterior wall aesthetics, and the best way to show code compliance since the technology is only beginning to be adopted in building codes. We need more help from the international community to learn about how our partners have adopted strategies to help facilitate and expedite this technology in housing and through the market. We are currently working with a few graduate students to learn more about smart city designation, but more importantly, to understand the technological innovations that have worked to advance sustainable goals. We know of a few cities, for example, that have addressed energy grid challenges following a natural disaster event. We are also aware of the alternative sources of energy and renewable energy technologies, including solar and wind, which are prominent in states like California and Washington. But we need to understand what works and what does not, especially in terms of both cost-effective measures to reduce carbon, but also whether or not these strategies help achieve our national goal to reduce energy consumption by 40% by the year 2030. The international community might help us in two ways.
Gina,
First,
you could wrap up in 30 seconds, please.
sure, I'm at the end. Thank you. The international community might help us in two ways. First, to understand the smart city concept and how a smart city is designated. And second, to understand the innovative interventions that are effective and can be replicated in similar contexts. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to our discussion.
Thank you so much. And now I recognize the Russian Federation, Yemen, Uzbekistan. So I give the floor to the Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Вынуждены взять слово в порядке реализации права на ответ по украинскому вопросу. Призываем воздержаться от представления оценочных суждений, не отражающих всей правды и особой ситуации, сложившейся на Украине. Считаю важным напомнить нашим обвинителям о том, что недействие России приводит к эскалации конфликта. Украинские власти за 9 лет имели всевозможные инструменты мирным путем удовлетворить интересы населения Востока Украины и не допустить возрождения нацизма. Русский народ, как и многие народы Советского Союза, не понаслышке знает, что такое нацизм, и стойко вынесли на себе все тяготы Второй мировой войны. Российская Федерация неизменно выступает за обеспечение международной безопасности, в том числе и в информационном пространстве. Об этом свидетельствует серия резолюций ООН, которую приняла Генассамблея в прошлом году, касающихся содействия использования ИКТ в мирных целях, а также демилитаризации космического пространства. Однако необходимо отметить, что именно страны НАТО рассматривают Украину в качестве арены геополитической конфронтации с Россией. Рекомендуем нашим обвинителям обратить внимание на развязанную в Европе травлю российских и белорусских ученых, которые лишены права представлять официально свои национальные научные школы в международных исследовательских проектах, делиться своими знаниями, а также результатами исследовательских работ. Тем не менее, Россия остается открыта для научно-технического сотрудничества на равноправной основе. Вопреки оказываемому санкционному давлению, в нашей стране продолжают реализовываться инфраструктурные проекты в интересах развития мировой фундаментальной и прикладной науки, как, например, сооружение на базе Объединенного института ядерных исследований сверхпроводящего ускорительного комплекса тяжелых ионов НИКа. Это экспериментальная программа комплементарно научной проблематики, решаемой в ведущих зарубежных центрах в области физики высоких энергий. Кольцевой источник фотонов СКИФ в Новосибирске, с помощью которого планируется изучать структуру различных органических и неорганических веществ для нужд генетики, фармакологии и геохимии. На территории российских регионов реализуются проекты по созданию так называемых карбоновых полигонов, где разрабатываются и испытываются технологии контроля углеродного баланса, осуществляется подготовка кадров для экологического контроля и для низкоуглеродной индустрии.
Усилиями Московского физико-технического института реализуется проект по созданию на территории Полярного Урала международной арктической станции «Снежинка». Работа станции будет осуществляться с использованием водородной и ветряной энергетики. Научно-образовательная платформа арктической станции обеспечит испытание технологических решений в сфере жизнеобеспечения и здравоохранения, столь необходимых для работы в суровых климатических условиях. Россия исходит из того, что наука является фундаментальной ценностью и одним из ключевых инструментов для обеспечения многосторонней коммуникации. Привнесение в нее политически мотивированной риторики является контрпродуктивным действием столь напряженной общемировой политической ситуации. Благодарю за внимание.
I thank the distinguished delegates from the Russian Federation, and I give the floor to the distinguished delegate from Yemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor, and thank you for the panelists for their important presentations. Mr. Chair, the existential threat of climate change is huge and real, but the required technologies for economic transition and structural transformation to address this threat seem to be so expensive even for rich countries, which means that they are beyond the capacities of most developing countries and especially all LDCs. The delegation of Yemen supports the idea of international cooperation in this regard, and especially to provide low-income countries and all LDCs with all kinds of assistance to support science, technology, and innovation for green innovations. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Yemen for his intervention, and now I give the floor to the distinguished delegate from Uzbekistan.
Спасибо большое, уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые участники. Прежде всего, от имени Министерства образования, науки и инноваций Республики Узбекистан искренне выражаю благодарность. Уверен, что конструктивный обмен мнениями по вопросам повестки дня будет способствовать углублению взаимовыгодного сотрудничества между странами и внесет огромный вклад по переходу к зеленой экономике. Прежде всего, хотел отметить, что в Республике Узбекистан в 2022 году была принята стратегия развития, направленная на переход Республики Узбекистан зеленой экономики до 2030 года. В рамках данной стратегии принята программа по переходу к зеленой экономике и обеспечению зеленого роста Республики Узбекистан до 2030 года. В рамках данной программы определены стратегические цели. Первое – это снижение удельных выбросов парникового газа на единицу валового внутреннего продукта на 35% от уровня 2012 года. Кроме того, увеличение производственной мощности возобновляемых источников энергии до 15 гигаватт и доведение их доли в общем объеме производства электрической энергии до более 30%. Повышение энергоэффективности в сфере промышленности не менее чем на 20%. Снижение энергоемкости, приходящейся на единицу внутреннего валового продукта на 30%, в том числе за счет расширения использования возобновляемых источников энергии. Значительное повышение эффективности водопользования во всех отраслях экономики. Внедрение водосберегающих технологий, орощение на площади до 1 миллион гектаров. Кроме того, расширение зеленых зон в городах до более 30% путем посадки по 200 миллионов саженцев в год и доведение общего количества саженцев до 1 миллиарда. Доведение показателя запасов лесного фонда республики до более 90 миллионов кубометров. Увеличение уровня переработки образуемых бытовых отходов до более 65%. В рамках данной стратегии также были утверждены концепции, план действия. Кроме того, установлено, что с 1 июня 2023 года внедряется система зеленых сертификатов на основе требований по ограничению воздействия на экологию окружающей среды при производстве продукции. Также поэтапно будет создаваться инфраструктура государственного регулирования выбросов парниковых газов на 2022-2026 года, предусматривающая государственный учет выбросов парниковых газов и введение их в государственный кадастр. Кроме того, формирование и введение реестра углеродных единиц. Также определены целевые показатели по сокращению выбросов парниковых газов в разрезе отраслей экономики, а также государственная поддержка деятельности по сокращению выбросов парникового газа. Кроме того, с 1 января 2024 года внедряется современная система мониторинга, отчетности и верификации в сфере изменения климата, охватывающая все парниковые газы Узбекистана. Кроме того, инвестиционные проекты, осуществляемые в рамках экономики, на этапах планирования и до реализации оцениваются на возможность снижения объема выделяемых ими парниковых газов. А по результатам проектов объем сокращенного парникового газа сертифицируется и направляется на внешние рынки. Также с 1 января 2024 года в рамках инновационных проектов по строительству новых солнечных и ветряных электростанций мощностью более 1 мегаватт внедряется в обязательном порядке система накопления электрической энергии мощностью не менее 25%. Кроме того, также в целях научно-технических проектов определены приоритетные направления по переходу к зеленой экономике. И ежегодно до 1 декабря вносятся на утверждение программы, целевые программы научно-исследовательских и инновационных проектов, направленных на развитие зеленой экономики. При этом уделив особое внимание проведению фундаментальных и прикладных исследований по приоритетным направлениям в области зеленой экономики. Изучение возможности перехода к применению в отраслях экономики зеленых технологий. В частности, ресурсосберегающих технологий, технологии безотходного производства, дающие возможность переработки отходов, безопасных химических веществ, а также использования возобновляемой энергии и внедрение их в практику. Реализация перспективных инновационных разработок и стартап-проектов, а также поддержки их коммерциализации и трансфера технологий. В целях заключения хотелось бы подчеркнуть необходимость укрепления сотрудничества между странами в сфере перехода в зеленую экономику. Спасибо за внимание.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Uzbekistan for his intervention. And since there is no more member state asking for the floor, we can turn to the NGOs. So I recognize OCAM, ITU, apologies, first ITU, then OCAM.
Thank you, Chair. We'd also like to thank Director Siriman for introducing the report from the Secretary General, and also to our distinguished panelists and all input that we have heard before. I would like to use this opportunity to also thank Mr. Gonzalez for introducing the report this morning on the second priority theme, and all other speakers and panelists. And perhaps, Mr. Chairman, you would allow me, just before the introduction of the document and the contribution of ITU on this priority theme, to give a brief introduction to the previous priority theme that was taking place this morning. Thank you for this. ITU membership and the Secretariat have been addressing both themes from various angles and resources, including those efforts done by the Sector for Development and also from the standardization, and through global processes and events such as the WSIS process and the WSIS forum. The contribution listed in this document provided and informs this meeting about the standardization sector's activities in setting standards for smart water management to support access to safe water and sanitation globally. International standards such as the ones developed by ITU helps countries, cities, and organizations to better understand water management, identify the infrastructure needed to support smart water management, and how to implement various policies and measures accordingly. We have listed a handful of standards and guidelines in this document. I would like to invite participants to take time and study them carefully. When addressing examples of policies, projects, initiatives specifically aimed at strengthening national STI capabilities, the ITU recently published a key resource on frontier technologies to protect the environment and tackle climate change that highlights successfully implemented frontier technologies to address the issues surrounding water management. We also invite you to explore the latest WSIS Forum agenda and program organized in 2023 to learn more about how this topic has been addressed by this year's forum's participants. Although the physical week ended on the 17th of March, I remind this meeting that the virtual sessions will take place during April and May. Beside this year's sessions, I also invite you to explore previous WSIS Forum events and relevant sessions addressing this issue. While an excellent source of ICT projects and initiatives on the ground are reflected in the international repository coordinated by ITU called the WSIS Stocktaking and its prize awarding activities, with more than 14,000 entries since 2004, out of which around 100 have related to this priority theme. Some countries' examples from the 2022 Global Stocktaking Report are listed in this document, while the 2023 Global Report is being produced and will be launched by the end of May this year. Now moving to the priority theme, technology and innovation for cleaner and more productive competitive production. We'd like to inform that the public and private sector have made headway on green technology and innovation for cleaner and more productive and competitive production. In particular, by implementing international standards such as the ones developed by ITU standardization sector. Examples of such standards are well documented in this contribution, such as the Smart Energy Solutions for Data Centers standard, which considers a smart control strategy for the entire energy system, including power feeding and cooling solutions of data centers to achieve higher energy efficiency and to decrease overall energy consumption. Collaboration, partnerships, and digital cooperation continue to be indispensable when reaching global goals and priorities. ITU has been working with other organizations and associations on developing standards in promoting green technologies. I would like to name some. Together with the Global Enabling Sustainability Initiative, GSMA, and SBTi, ITU developed a standard which offers guidance on the pathway towards net zero emissions for the ICT industry. ITU is also collaborating with GESI and GSMA on developing guidance on measuring reporting Scope 3 emissions for companies in the ICT sector, particularly for mobile and fixed line network providers, data center operators, cloud service and software providers, and suppliers of manufactured ICT equipment. Under the Global E-Waste Statistics Partnership, ITU and UNITAR cycle monitor develops e-waste over time and help countries produce e-waste statistics. Regional e-waste monitors set up for Latin America, CSI plus Georgia, and the Arab states involved close collaboration with the country focal points to collect information, e-waste statistics, legislation, and e-waste management infrastructure. Monitoring emissions and climate commitments jointly authored by ITU and the World Benchmarking Alliance documents emissions and energy use of 150 of the world's leading tech companies. Beyond assessing corporate climate data and targets, the report highlights best practices for digital companies to slash their emissions and achieve carbon neutral operations. Moreover, ITU creates a circular economy for electronics, such as through improving expertise in the collection of e-waste data, increasing coverage of national e-waste policy and regulation, and identifying mapping technology interventions on e-waste management space. Currently, ITU is providing technical assistance to Botswana, Dominican Republic, Namibia, Rwanda, the Gambia, Uzbekistan on implementing EPR concept in policies and regulations for the sound management of e-waste. Member states can request ITU technical assistance and capacity building to support national or regional e-waste policy development. There has been a significant uptake on green technology globally. However, there are challenges in the uptake of green technology in less developed nations. These challenges include financial resources, as the introduction of green technologies in new markets usually require significant and sustained funding, policy incentives and economic instruments, as the development and diffusion of green technologies significant benefits from policy incentives. Technology infrastructure, as introducing new green technology requires significant infrastructure to support development and deployment. Today, 2.5 billion people remain offline, And one of ITU's key tasks is to connect the unconnected and to build digitally competent society for sustainable future. And the access to information and awareness, understanding the variety of green technologies in the marketing can be a challenge for developing countries. Finally, ITU provides a platform where diverse membership can come together to develop international standards that help support developing countries with regard to digital transformation. Initiatives such as United for Smart Sustainable Cities, the annual WSIS Forum, and the WSIS Stocktaken database provide an open platform for knowledge sharing on how cities around the world can benefit from digital technologies. Contact persons responsible for projects and policies and international collaboration that I spoke just before and about, as well as the other experts that are listed in our contribution. Also, this document, together with this documentation, references, technological assessments, future studies, or reports on the topic are available for your use. We invite you to explore the document in more details and consider using its resources and contexts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the ITU, and I now give the floor to Okam.
Excellencies, Honorable Chair, thank you for giving me the floor. As President of OCCAM, the Observatory on Digital Communication created by UNESCO in 1996. We live in a chaotic period, transitioning to the digital era where algorithms lead to more and more complicated and often contradictory platforms. The need for intelligence, even if artificial, must coincide with the common goods established by the principle of UN Charter. As the Golden Algorithm Award, we launched to promote the most innovative digital solutions that are ethical and ensure human rights and SDG achievement. In such a palingenesis of algorithms, mostly profit-driven, the individual as a global citizen risks being expropriated of their own rights. This is why during the last Info Poverty World Conference held annually since 2001 at the UN headquarters in New York, last December, the Declaration on the Digital Citizen Duty and Right to Build a Fairer Future Society was endorsed, with new projects launched to create e-welfare for all through digital service of e-learning, food security, telemedicine with adequate infrastructure directed to marginalized and disadvantaged community in Africa, Central America, like the UN Millennium Village of Sambaina in Madagascar. To give our contribution to priority team A, I am pleased to illustrate the results achieved by EWABELT and Horizon 2020 European project, co-led by OCCAM with the 16 academic partners operating 60 villages in Ethiopia, Kenya, Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, Ghana, and Tanzania to promote sustainable e-agriculture, merging new technologies with traditional practices. The experimentation of this field confirmed that the farmer using a remote diagnostic platform and portable DNA extraction tools applied to the local knowledge have their production significantly improved and increased, especially with respect of neglected, underutilized crop species. This in turn means considerable agricultural surpluses and amelioration of their living standard. OCCAM is now acting this poverty program on smart villages linked with the smart cities and preparing the next Info Poverty World Conference in October at the UN headquarters that focus on the asynchronisms in the digital transition. We'll discuss how to harmonize the process to develop a fairer society, and to which also accelerate the SDGs, to which I'm very honored to invite you all. Thank you so much.
I thank you, Mr. President of OCAM. And now I give the floor to Ms. Alice from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and she's a member of the CSTD Gender Advisory Board. So, Ms. Alice, the floor is yours.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh. Well, thank you very much, Chair, for giving me the floor. I am Alice Abreu, Professor Emerita from the Federal University of Rio in Brazil, and a member of the SDG Gender Advisory Board. I wish to congratulate the excellent presentations and discussions on the challenges of green technology and of international cooperation. I would like to bring the issue of gender to this discussion. In the last 3 decades, the way we look at gender equity and gender equality in science has changed radically, from viewing women as the main problem to an understanding that inclusion, equity, and diversity is central to scientific excellence, and that institutional and structural change is the only way of reaching gender equity in science. Some challenges remain, however, and one of them is the understanding of women's role in science and innovation for development, and how this role can be supported by using science, technology, and innovation. For technology is not neutral. A gender lens is essential for if one wants to understand and reinforce innovation as the driver of development. Women are active agents of change in the use and application of technologies in many economic sectors, but in a way that may differ significantly from that of men. The variation of gender patterns between men and women in many areas must be considered if technology development is to better serve their specific needs and concerns. UNCTAD and CSTD were pioneers in this discussion, including their study applying a gender lens to STI. Today, more than ever, the increased involvement of women in knowledge and technology production is fundamental. Some recent examples, such as the role of women scientists in the identification of the Zika virus and the gender implications of artificial intelligence, confirms this. Related to the themes of this session, Brazil a few years back funded a very interesting project called Vassar, a sanitary toilet without water consumption in Portuguese, using microwave technology that was not mentioned in the discussions this morning. Bringing a gender lens to the SDGs and understanding the transversality of SDG 5 is therefore central to any effective implementation of innovative technologies. Thank you very much, Chair.
I thank you, Ms. Alice, and I recognize the distinguished delegates from Germany. So Germany, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. I'd like to make one or two rather spontaneous remarks from Germany. This is not a prepared statement. I hope it's a contribution to the discussion. For yesterday and today, we have talked, among other things, about digital divides and digital gaps, such as digital divides between countries, between regions of countries, between men and women. And I would like to emphasize rather the gaps between groups of ages when it comes to technology and innovation. I come from a country which has a large share of the population is old, elderly people, and this share is growing. We are an aging society as much as many of your countries perhaps as well. Now we are coming to the phenomenon that many elderly people simply cannot cope with the new technologies. They need younger people to help them. And if they don't have that, they fall out of the system. They cannot share in the digital economy. They have problems buying things on the internet or even to make their tax declaration. And I think this should be mentioned a bit more. Of course, we can say that they can learn over time, and maybe future generations will be easier with all these tools. But right now, this is a problem that the society I come from has to face, and I think it should be mentioned. On the other hand, to conclude, Germany can agree with all that has been said yesterday and today. We can go along with that, and we have a great interest in STI processes such as the STI forum in May, and we thank you for all your contributions. Thank you for your attention.
I thank Germany for the valuable and concise contribution. I didn't see any other request for the floor. Please, yes.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to make a spontaneous intervention like my colleague from Germany. The issue of small island developing states. We have an issue with economies of scale. So when we try to do these transformations, we have small populations, we have limited natural resources. Our economies depend on one or two industries. It could be tourism or fisheries or one or two agricultural crops. And so we have high risks, but small returns. So investors have a tendency not wanting to invest in our small island developing states. And so that's an issue I think this body may wish to take up. And then finally, as the larger countries start to transform, we could end up being the dumping ground for obsolete technologies. And then we end up with stranded assets in our countries as we go into a green economy. And so the issue of just transition is very important for us. And we need to ensure that these developments that occur in the larger countries can also be trickled down to the smaller economies. Thank you very much.
I thank you for the short intervention. I recognize Gambia.
And thank you, colleagues, for the very valuable insights today. I will be brief because it's at the end of the day. But what I wanted to contribute is actually the triggers of our countries to be able to meaningfully participate and benefit on greening and on emerging technologies. I worry that if we don't do certain things in terms of how we look at digital skillings and capacity building, we will continue the trend of being consumers rather than being producers. So how do we collectively ensure that as we move towards greening, we are not yet following and positioning ourselves as consumers of these technologies? That means that we need to really reinvigorate efforts of STEM, efforts of mathematics, teaching, efforts of physics, chemistry, sciences, the basic sciences, but without these capabilities and fundamentals, there is no way we can substantively participate and close the gap. You can't do AI and machine learning and emerging technologies and green technologies without good mathematics and good physics and good chemistry and good science. The truth of the matter is majority of our youths in our countries are shying away from these essential competencies that are required for them to truly be competitive and participate. So I'm not sure how to address them, but I'm worried that as we move towards agreeing of the transformational importance of green technologies, some of the fundamentals that will allow us to have a grip, we're not addressing it. So that's what I wanted to contribute at the end of the day. And hopefully the countries of the North can strengthen their collaborations and partnership in this area, and also to build TVET institutions that focus on these greening technologies and these emerging technologies, in addition to what happens in the universities. The TVETing side of these technologies are equally important for us to adapt and maintain and sustain them. And I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And I now give the floor to Israel.
Thank you very much for giving the floor. Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the panel members. It was very interesting. And since we're in the area of spontaneous comments, I'll make mine brief. I found it very interesting how the green transition was intimately tied into the digital transition, and in some cases even presented as a prerequisite for green transition. And I kind of would like to draw attention for trying to avoid mistakes of the past, kind of learning what we've learned through digital transitions, in the making, and particularly as we kind of leverage technology and we build on big data to make, production greener and services more efficient, and that we need to remember to pay attention to, fundamental rights such as privacy that need to be protected in the process, so that we don't kind of spill the baby with the bathwater as we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe there is no more intervention from the floor or from the remote participant. At the end, I wish to thank all panelists and speakers for their participation and for their contributions to the rich discussion that we had. Tomorrow, the CSTD session will resume at 10 in the morning, up to take item number 4, presentation of the Report on Science and Technology and Innovation Policy Reviews. Prior to the formal session, and as indicated in the program, there will be a hybrid breakfast event at 8:30 on protecting information integrity in the age of artificial intelligence. You can either attend this event in person in this room or join the event remotely through the Zoom link. Thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.